Good afternoon, welcome to Rundlii Gaming. We're going to be doing a video. This one will be on the game of Lost Temple. This is by Stronghold Games, and this one was made by Bruno Faiduti. I probably butchered that. But it's a fairly quick game. This usually plays between 2 to 8 players. The 2 to 3 players is kind of weird. It plays a little differently than normal. So generally it's 4 to 8. In the game, you are simply trying to race to the temple, and depending on what player count you're working on, you're going to have to go to a different temple for that. 2 to 4 players, I believe, will be the first temple, then 5 to 8 will be the second temple. Then, from here you have different cards. And each of these are going to have different effects. A couple different stats on it, numbers on it. And the first one here we have the shaman. Then we have a thief, a seer, a priest, an elder, a craftsman, scout, canoe, and a child. And there's a few different things. At the start of the game you're going to be drawing one of these randomly, just to kind of figure out the initial turn order. Because on the board here, you're going to have some numbers put on the board to try to show where each of the players are currently located at. So, we'll just kind of go over what each of these cards are. So on that initial drawing, there's some stats on the bottom here. And the only time that's relevant is at the very beginning of the game. For example, if you drew the shaman, you'll be in the number 1 place, which means you'll be all the way up here, as compared to, like, say, the child, which is all the way in the back. So this person is going to start out ahead of everybody, but they start out with no money. They don't start out with any machetes. Machetes kind of help out with some of the other spaces later as well. And then the thief would start out with 1 money, the seer with 1 money, the priest with 2 money, the elder with 3 money, 3 money, 3 money with machete, 5 money with a canoe, and 4 money and a machete with a child. Some other things to consider here too is the numbers that are on the top corner here. They'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and there will actually be this reference card here that one of the players will have to kind of help call out who does what. But this reference card will show you the number order, because these numbers annotate in what order these are going to actually trigger. For example, the shaman will always be the first person called out, and their card's going to be activated before anyone else's. The thief will then be called out after that, then the seer, then the priest, etc. So, once everyone has their beginning places, so we'll just kind of randomize this really quickly. And we're going to do this for what 4 players may look like. Each player is going to also pick a color. So we know with the seer, this person is going to start out with 1 money. With the blue player here, they're the thief. They're going to start out with 1 money as well. This person is going to start at number 2. This person is going to start at number 3. The canoe person here is going to be on number 8, starting out. So they're a little bit further behind. But they are also going to start with 5 money. And then the pink one here is actually going to start at number 7. They're going to start out with 3 money. And then a machete. So as you can see, just the initial drawing is going to put people in different places. They each get a little bit different benefits. And at this point, we're going to throw all those back into the deck. Because from here on, you're actually going to be choosing those cards to see what kind of ability you do. And we're going to go over what each of these cards do. So as I showed you, there are the different cards, and depending on which one you get, for example, you have the shaman here, which would be the first one to activate. So they go before anybody else does. If the player selected that card, then they're going to do the ability on that. And what they're going to do is announce a character you wish to curse. So when, like, let's say if they name the scout. If the scout reveals themselves, So the cursed player, when they reveal themselves, they will be swapped with the shaman. So let's say orange decided that they are going to get the scout. Let's say the scout was the blue player. So when he first revealed, he's going to say scout, then they're going to check for number 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, then 6, then 7, finally he's going to reveal himself. Now before he would go, he's going to swap with the shaman. So in this case, blue and orange would actually switch places, at which point now blue then does his actual ability. So that's how the shaman works. Now there's also the thief, which is the number 2, which will be this one here. The thief will announce a character other than the shaman, so you can't announce someone that's already win, but he could announce, say, the scout or an elder, whoever he wants to announce. So let's say he were to announce, let's say the child. If the child were to reveal himself, then that player will take all of their gems. So let's say purple was the thief, and then the child were to reveal themselves, he's going to steal all their money. Now in addition though, at the very bottom of it, and it's something to always pay attention to as well, is that they can also move 1 to 2 spaces after you play this card. So when you play this, you'll move your 1 or 2 spaces, then you're going to wait to see if the person you named reveals himself. If they reveal themselves, at that point you'll steal that money. So then it's the second one revealed. So first it's the shaman, then it's the thief. At this point you would go to the seer. Seer being this card. You're going to look at 2 face down chance tokens. The chance tokens will be these tokens here. And we'll kind of go over some more information on that as well. The chance tokens are specific spaces on the board that if you land on it, there are certain benefits you get from it. They can sometimes be good, sometimes bad. You pretty much have a 50-50 shot here. 50% of the time it's good, 50% of the time it's bad, so it's kind of, you're taking a chance with it. In addition, you also get to move 1 to 2 spaces for free as well. The next one is the priest. So for the priest, you pay 2 gems, and then you move to the next temple. The temples are marked by these blue spaces. So if, say, you're pink here, you're going to move all the way up to this space here because it's the next temple. Let's say if blue was here, they're going to move to the next temple, which is this space here. So they just jump to whatever the next temple space is. The elder is the next card. You pay 2 gems and move to the next village space. So in that case, you would pay 2 of your gems, and then you can move to the next village space. So if pink used this, they would jump to this space because this is the next village space. Or let's say if blue used it, they're going to jump to this one because that's the next village space. The village spaces are always the orange rings. The next one is the craftsman. On the craftsman, you get a machete token, so this will actually give you one of these machete tokens. And then also, you can then move forward 1 or 2 spaces for free. So if I play this, I will get a free machete token, and those will come up in specific areas where you need a machete to get through certain locations. But then you also get to move 1 or 2 spaces afterward. The canoe. Now this one takes a lot of gems, but it can move you really, really fast. Now for the canoe, you pay all of your gems. No matter how many you pay, you do have to pay all of them. And then you move 2 times that number. So if you put in 5 gems, you're going to move 10 spaces. If you put in 10 gems, you'll move 20 spaces. Now the max movement for this is 20 spaces, so you'll still have to discard anything past 10 gems, but the furthest you can always move is 20 spaces. So if you discard, say, 12 gems because you have to discard all of them, you're still only going to move 20 spaces. Oh, sorry, we skipped the scout. Scout was actually going to go before canoe. On this one you pay X gems, so you can pay any number of gems, and then move that many spaces forward. So if you pay 5 gems, you'll move 5 spaces forward. So it kind of works like Canoe. It's just not quite as good. There's also no max, but the chances of you hitting 20 or more gems is probably not very realistic. So the last card is the Child. The Child moves to catch up with a player just before them. So let's say if Pink were to use the Child, they are going to move to the space right before the next player. So in this case, Green. Now since we're playing with 4 players, it's going to have a little bit different of a setup depending on if you're playing with, say, 4 players, 5 players, 6 players, 7 players, or 8 players. As I said, you can play 2 or 3, but it is a little bit different. Not generally recommended personally, but it is something that you can do. In the case of 4 players, you can have 3 face-up cards. So 3 of these are going to be revealed. 1 of them are going to go face down, and then at that point each player is going to draft 1 card to use for the round. As far as the chance tokens go, we'll just go over that real quickly. You can get the possibility of gems. You can get +2, 3, or 4 gems, or you could lose 2, 3, or 4 gems. So that's one possibility. These are movement. You could possibly move forward 2 spaces, 3 spaces, or 5 spaces, but you could also go back 2, 3, or 5 spaces. These ones, you could gain a machete, so there's 2 of those, or you could lose a machete, which there's also 2 of those. So it's literally just a 50-50 chance on what kind of thing's going to trigger. We're going to flip all these over real quick. And then we're going to go ahead and put these down on each of the double ring white spaces. So we'll drop them there. And then normally you would put them over this way if you're going to go that way or go this far. But since we're only going to this temple here to win the game, we're just going to mess with that one only. And to annotate or to give you an idea of what these different spaces mean, just a white single ring. It doesn't matter, it's just a normal space, just an empty space. The blue ringed spaces are temples. These orange ring ones, those are going to be towns. The white ring ones, those are going to be the chance locations. The black ones, you need a machete to go through those, so you cannot get through those spaces unless you have a machete. So at this point we're going to take 3 of these and put them face up. So we know that a scout, a thief, and a priest are not going to be in this round. So we know, and this will pretty much be more relevant for those that are trying to be a shaman or if you're trying to thief someone. We know 3 of these are going to be face up. 1 of these are going to go face down. We're not sure what that is. Then at this point each player is going to pick 1 of these cards. They're going to look at the cards that they have. So I know that I have a shaman, child, seer, craftsman, and canoe. So being that I have 5 gems with, say, orange, also, yeah, this is first player, by the way, there's a big token. We'll make orange the first player because they're the last person on the board right now. Now they could choose between any of these 5 cards. And they have a couple different options here. So they can use the seer to look at some of these chance tokens, that way they know which ones could hurt them, which ones could benefit them. They could use the shaman here. The shaman will be able to switch places with someone else as long as they guess correctly. Now because he is the first player, he knows that these are the 4 cards that could be pulled this round. So if I were to declare, say, craftsman, as long as one of these other players grab the craftsman, then I should be okay. But if I end up naming something that no one else has, then nothing really happens. So, we could also do canoe, where we pay a lot of our money in order to move a bunch of spaces. Though they don't actually have a machete, which luckily the machete only comes up over here, so I could do that. I could get machete token and then move a couple spaces, which may not be a bad idea either. I can move to catch up to the next person, which might be a safe bet since orange is kind of doing badly currently, but the next player currently is pink, so I may not move very far. Because right now, if this were to trigger, then I would actually stay in the same place. Now, we're going to probably go on the idea that maybe pink is going to be moving this round. But what we're going to probably do is actually randomize these, which is probably a terrible idea as far as actually playing. But that way we don't overthink it for each of the players. So we're going to say that orange is going to go with this, pink's going to go with this, blue's going to go with this, green's going to go with this. This last one gets discarded face down. No one actually knows what it's going to be, except for probably whoever that last player was. So, at this point, whoever the first player is, so this will be orange, is going to then start naming off each of these cards to see who... Alright, so it looks like orange did grab the shaman. They're going to name one of the cards. And we knew that the thief, the priest, and the scout are currently in the face-up pile. So we know that none of the other players have that. And so we know that there was a seer in there. We also know that there was an elder in there. Actually, I don't entirely... I know there was a craftsman, there was a canoe in there, there was a child in there. So let's go with canoe. So they're going to declare that they are going to pick canoe. So at this point, now they're just going to wait. Then you'll announce thief. But we know thief's here, so that's not going to be anything. We'll name seer. Seer will then reveal himself. And now they're going to activate their ability as well. Now with that, they can look at 2 of these face-down tokens. So they can look at 2 of these without showing anyone. And they can also choose to switch those if they want to. And then, blue can now move 1 or 2 spaces. So let's say they're going to move 2 spaces. And then at this point, we're going to continue down the list. So is there a priest? We know a priest over here. Elder. There's no elder. Craftsman. Craftsman will reveal himself. And at this point, they're going to get a free machete. And then they're going to move up to 1 or 2 spaces, which is pink. So they're going to move 2 spaces. And then next is scout. We know scout's up here. Next is canoe, which canoe is here. Now because of the shaman, they did name canoe. So because canoe revealed himself, orange and green are going to switch. And now at this point, canoe is going to get rid of all their money, which is 1, and then move 2 times the number of spaces. So at that point, they're going to move there. And that's what an entire round looks like as far as the game itself goes. And then this is going to keep going on until one of the players reach the main temples here. So you have the 2 to 4 player win condition here, 5 to 8 player win condition here. Now, to go over a couple more locations here, if you land on this chance space, you are going to then reveal it, and then you get the bonus from it. In this case, it says move forward 5 spaces. So they would move normally 5 spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. However, because blue does not have a machete, they cannot actually clear this black space until they get a machete. So at that point, they're kind of stuck. Even though they got to move, they will not actually be able to move forward because of the lack of a machete. Once you have got rid of the chance token, you're then going to replace it with a new one. So if someone comes through it next time, they could also hit that as well. Another thing is, so as I mentioned, depending on if you use like a priest or a villager, can bring you to different locations. If, like, let's say if you're at this location, you use a villager, which will bring you to the next villager, and you were normally to go here, you cannot get there because of this unless you have a machete. So anything that moves you through those jungle spaces is not going to actually allow you to go through unless you have said machete. And whenever you use the machete, it does get rid of it. So that is something to consider as well. This token here will make you the new first player, so that is a way for you to gain the first player as well. If two of those get revealed in the same turn, they kind of cancel each other out. Whoever drew the second one, for example, the first person to draw it will get the first player token. The second person to draw it will then get the first player token as well. So it kind of cancels itself out as far as that goes. And it's pretty much, I mean, that's really the bulk of the game. I mean, it's a very quick, easy to learn type game to play. Not particularly difficult as far as like gameplay goes. You could probably teach this to someone very young as far as how it plays through. So it's not overly complicated as far as that. But that is the game of Lost Legends. As that it is a Stronghold Games. Plays fairly quickly, 30-40 minutes-ish. As long as everyone kind of knows what they're doing, it kind of plays through pretty quickly. So I'd probably say 30 to 50 minutes-ish, roughly. I hope you've enjoyed the video. We should have another one posted next week. So if you enjoyed this video, watch for the one next week. And we'll show you how to play another game. Thank you for watching Rundlii Gaming, and you have a good day.